Good morning. This is the Chorus Call conference operator. Welcome, and thank you for joining Tinexta's conference call. As a reminder, all participants are in listen-only mode. After the presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. Should anyone need assistance during the conference call, they may signal an operator by pressing star and zero on their telephone. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Mr. Joseph Mastragostino, Chief Investor Relations Officer. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, operator. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for joining Tinexta's conference call relating to the binding agreements for the sale of the Credit Information and Management Division to CRIF. Here with me today, Pier Andrea Chevallard, CEO of Tinexta, and Oddone Pozzi, Group CFO. As a reminder, the relevant documentation relating to this conference call can be downloaded from our company website. For the purpose of this call, Pier Andrea will provide some key strategic statements relating to the announced deal. I will go over the highlights in the form of an executive summary, and Oddone, instead, will go over the transaction details as well as all the pro forma financials. The last part of the call will be dedicated to Q&A. A recording of this conference call will also be available to all investors on our company website, and it will be posted upon completion of this call. At this point, I will leave it to Pier Andrea for some of his key statements.
Thank you, Joseph. Good morning to all of you, and thanks for being here. I think that everybody has got the press release we released yesterday evening. Well, I would say we are extremely delighted to have announced the agreement to sell the Credit Information and Management Division of Tinexta to CRIF, which is a very relevant operator for a total enterprise value of 237.5 million euros. We believe, I consider this is a very important step forward for Tinexta's equity story, as we were able to close this transaction at a very attractive valuation, which was in line with the best transaction in Italy, and I would underline this aspect. This is an important deal for Tinexta. Will allow our group to increase its financial flexibility, providing further strength for its expansion both in Italy and abroad. I would like to make it clear to the market that for value is not part of the transaction. It will be transferred to Tinexta as part of the collaboration with Intesa Sanpaolo, which will continue to an important project of expansion. From a strategic point of view, we are now favorably rebalancing our business, rationalizing our priorities with a greater focus on other existing business units. And above all, we are improving and accelerating the company's future growth potential. Lastly, we were also very excited to have found an agreement with CRIF, a leading company with primary standing in the industry, which also lays the foundations for possible future collaboration with other areas of our business. At this point, I will leave it to Joseph Oddone to provide you with further details of the transaction. Thanks again.
Thank you, Pier Andrea. So turning to page 3 of the presentation, which you all have got. So we will start by saying that obviously this deal is a very important one, and it's a creative one from an M&A perspective, given that we are increasing the value for shareholders. Just to make it clear, Tinexta Group is selling, considering the binding agreement, the Credit Information Management Division to CRIF S.p.A. for a total enterprise value of 237 million and 5. In terms of the deal and the structure consideration, it's important to highlight, as Pier Andrea just said, that it is excluding the for value. So from a perimeter standpoint, we're considering all of the Innolva Group companies as well as ReValuta. For us, this is a compelling valuation. We are selling the asset at around 11 times enterprise value over adjusted EBITDA on a 2021 actual basis. The equity value as of March 31st of 22 was $227.7 million. It's important to highlight that this is a 100% cash payment at closing. From a strategic and rationale and value creation standpoint, for us, credit information management is now obviously that it's out of the perimeter, not on a core asset. And for that matter, we are focusing on digitalization. There has been a strong momentum, and it is, as we all know, it is at its historical highs, given the recent consolidation in the space in the Italian market. This obviously enables a strong collaboration with the key partner, which is CRIF, not only for Tinexta, but all of Tinexta group companies. Credit information management is at its highest level and recorded adjusted EBITDA. In fact, on a 2021 basis, credit information management registered an EBITDA margin on an adjusted basis of 29%. This obviously is also a very important time and favorable time to sell, given the overall macroeconomic uncertainties that are impacting the market overall. We are creating value for our shareholders. We have extracted high value since the initial investment in credit information management. I think it's important to highlight also the very strong commitment that the management of Innolva, together with the Revaluta, has contributed in the past years to this business unit. And that's why today we have reached such a compelling valuation, and therefore I think it's worthwhile giving a strong thumbs up to all of the managers of this division. Importantly, this creates also a very noticeable firepower in terms of future M&A, and we will go over the financials in a second. From a solid, from a financial standpoint, this is a solid transaction. In fact, it allows the rationalization of the group's invested capital, which goes from around 500 million to about 370 million. On a 2022 pro forma leverage ratio base, we are going down to about 0.4 times versus the 2.7 times registered as of the full year 21. On a 2022 revenue and adjusted EBITDA pro forma guidance standpoint, we are substantially unchanged versus the prior year actuals. In terms of approvals and timing, the closing is expected in the second half of 2022, and it is subject to the usual conditions for this type of transactions, including the Golden Power rule, as well as some conditions precedent that Oddone will go over. Now, turning to page 4. We have here provided an optical view of the business and its perimeter. As you can see here, it's very clear that the credit information management side of the business will now be sold at the financials that we've just highlighted. At this point, I will leave it to Oddone, who will go over the financials and the details of the transaction. Oddone?
Thank you, Joseph. Good morning, everybody. So we move now to page 6. As previously mentioned by Mr. Chevallard, you can see here, the structure of the offer and the binding agreement that we have signed with CRIF. So basically, we are going to sell the full credit information and management division, with excluding Forvalue. Forvalue is going to stay and to remain within the group, with the purpose to continue the partnership with Banca Intesa. So the enterprise value for the 100% is in the range of 237.5 million euro. That is split between Innolva Group for 187.5 and Revaluta 50 million. We are going to sell the majority stakes in Innolva and the control stake in Innolva RAI and Comas, as well as the minority stakes in Credit Reform and Wisely. The multiples are definitely very interesting multiples. Basically, the bundle is in the range of 10.8 times, And if we go to split between Innolva Group and Revaluta, we have very close to 10.5 times in Innolva and 12.5 times in Revaluta. The equity value, if we include the net financial position that we have at the end of Q1, as already approved figures, is 14.4 million for Innolva and a positive net financial position for Revaluta of 4.6. Obviously, this amount, two things have to be underlined. First of all, this includes also dividends already distributed to Tinexta during the month of April for Innolva and for Revaluta too. And second, this amount will be adjusted at the closing date that is expected to be during the second part in the second part of the year. So the sum of the parts for the 100% of the equity value is expected to be in the range of 228 million euro. The payment is expected to be performed 100% cash at the closing date. If we look at, we move to page 7, basically, we are talking about the perimeter. We are going to sell calls for 75 million euro at the 2021 actual results at 75 million euro with 22 million euro of adjusted EBITDA and net debt at that time, excluding the dividends we distributed during Q2 22, is 4 million euro debt, and yet counted as are part of the group that will be transferred to CRIF is 372 million. As you can see here, Innolva Group is currently owned by 75% by Tinexta. The remaining 25% is owned by Intesa Sanpaolo that entered into Innolva share capital during the deal of the acquisition of Forvalue of Tinexta Group. Looking at this deal, Comas, Innolva RAI, Credit Reform, and Weisi will part of the deal. Forvalue is excluded from the transaction. As of today, there are, the condition precedent on this deal. On top of the customary condition precedent, we have to go through the Golden Power approval, and then Intesa to allow the sale of each 25% of the group. Basically, we have a favorable position of Intesa to go through the sale, and also Tinexta and Intesa will continue their partnership with reference to Forvalue. If we move to Revaluta, Tinexta owns 95% of Revaluta, while 5% is in the hands of CEDACRI. Obviously, also here we have the customary, CPs, and the Golden Power is applied also here. And in this situation, we have to complete the sale of Revaluta to CRIF. CEDACRI has not to exercise the right of the preemption on Revaluta. We will go through the procedure and we will see what will be the come out of this. If we move to page 8, another important CP is that before the closing, Tinexta Group has to transfer basically Forvalue from Innolva to another Tinexta Group company. This is expected to happen before the closing, in order to allow the closing, excluding Forvalue. So basically, then potentially, so Innolva will be sold for an equity value of 173 million as per CRIF offers. for value will be transferred to another Tinexta Group company at an assessment at fair market value. We have to remember that the current book value of for value now is 57 million euros. Will be defined down the road, which is going to be the company that is going to acquire basically the for value. The commercial agreement is expected to continue during the period. If we move now to page 9, we are going to page 10. Sorry, we are going to look at how is going to be reshaped basically the group. As of today, we had 4 business units with digital trust, cyber security, innovation marketing service, and credit information. So basically, the revenue was, despite the digital trust had the majority of the revenue of the group, we had up to now a very good balancing in terms of revenue. And if we go to a pro forma of 2021, we see a favorable rebalancing on digital side of the business. So basically, digital trust will account for 44% of the revenues, 24% is going to be cyber security, and 32% innovation marketing service. In terms of EBITDA, we are going to lose the portion of credit information that accounts for almost 21% of the EBITDA. The future split will be basically 47% innovation marketing services, 42% in digital trust, with the remaining 11% on the cyber security. But definitely, we will have a little bit more rationalized business, focus on the 3 divisions with all the opportunity to further invest on the 3 divisions. What is going to happen in the balance sheet, in P&L of balance sheet of Tinexta during 2022, driven by this deal? So basically, operationally, since next reporting date that will be the H1 results that will be reported early in August. So basically, credit information division will be deconsolidated as of January 1st. So we will have the results of the 3 divisions that will account for the results for the continuation activity, and then we'll have the result of the discontinued activity. The result of the discontinued activity will include the net income of the division that is going to be sold, plus the capital gains that will be booked. So basically, the current estimate of the capital gains obviously could change because of the of the net financial position that will be booked at the closing date. Basically, as of today, the book gain on 100% will account for 54, and Tinexta will report a capital gain gross of taxes in the range of 38 million. The tax gain of Tinexta on Innolva is expected to be 58 million, but the participation exemption clause will be applied, so we expect to have a tax burden in the range of 0.7 million. And obviously, we are going basically to consolidate the 174 million that we have currently in our invested capital for Innolva. Very important book gain is expected to occur for Revaluta. Revaluta as of today is in the books for 8.2 million, and we are going to sell, including the net financial position at the end of March 31st, for 54 million. It means for Tinexta a capital gain in the range of 43, and the tax capital gain in the range of 40 that calls for 0.5 million taxes. So material capital gain, so basically means, that Tinexta has definitely acquired these companies in the past, and this is the value creation that the management and the group together were able to develop through the years. If we go to the pro forma net financial position, obviously we are going to have a quite strong decrease. So as of the end of 21, the ratio was 2.7. If we calculate the cash-in from Innova as the portion of Tinexta, the cash-in in Revaluta for the portion of Tinexta, as well as the taxes that we are going to pay, and we exclude the net financial position of the two companies that is already deducted in the price, and we are going to the consolidated accounts for almost 9 million. So on a pro forma basis, we are talking about 33 million euro debt. That means 0.4 million, 0.4 times EBITDA. I would say that apart of that, what was already mentioned, Mr. Chevallard, in terms of business rebalancing and more opportunity, if you look at the balance sheet of the group, and we go again pro forma at the end of 21, that we can see here a significant rebalance. So our invested capital is going to drop, assuming a potential investment from Intesa in the company that is going to acquire for value. So basically, we expect the net capital invested to drop 27%. The net financial position, as already explained, 87% drop, while the shareholder equity is expected to grow 40%. So if we look at the balance sheet, we are talking to a much stronger balance sheet, less invested capital, and much more firepower, and even a net equity that is going to be stronger. If we go to the key financial targets, obviously, here we stated, basically what is expected at results in absolute value, and it means revenue EBITDA that are basically aligned to prior year in absolute value. But if we go to a pro forma of 21, excluding the companies that are going to be sold from the day one, so basically we are going to expect revenue, so basically growing in the range of 22%, and EBITDA to grow 25%. This means, significant growth with the NFP adjusted EBITDA expected to 0.4 times net debt EBITDA. So this is what we expect, and the results of the first quarter are aligned to our guidance, and so this is basically the new guidance that we are providing. So I leave the stage to Joseph in order to complete the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Oddone. So I'm turning to page 16 for the closing remarks. So we're selling the asset at a very attractive valuation multiple, which, as we said, represents a premium band versus other comparable deals in Italy. This represents a very strong shareholder return supported by pro forma figures, as we just said. And the deal will foster collaboration with CRIF, both for Tinexta and all of the group companies. We've highlighted that the transaction enables noticeable equity and tax gains, and in particular, we're very fond of the rationalization and the rebalancing of the business model, which will allow strong concentration on the digital innovation, marketing consultancy, and cybersecurity side of the business. Important to highlight is that the deal proceeds will increase the firepower, which will be geared towards both accelerated M&A as well as the internationalization. Oddone just went over the pro forma full-year figures, both in absolute terms as well as on a pro forma basis, I think it's important to highlight that notwithstanding the sale and the deconsolidation of credit information management, the business is growing double digits, both in terms of revenue and even more in terms of adjusted EBITDA. At this point, we will turn it to the operator to open the line for Q&A. Operator?
Thank you. This is the Chorus Call conference operator. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. To remove yourself from the question queue, please press star and two. Please pick up the receiver when asking questions. Anyone who has a question may press star and one at this time. The first question is from Renato Gargiulo with Stifel. Please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Well, the deal, good morning. The deal is very clear, the strategic rationale too. Just one question. You are excluding from the transaction Forvalue. I was wondering, you gave in the past some targets about Forvalue also in terms of potential synergies in the medium term. I was wondering if anything is changing, given that you won't have the Credit Info business anymore. And related to this, you have been talking also about potential future partnership with CRIF on the other businesses. Even in this case, if you can give us any more color on that. And then clearly on M&A firepower, so we can assume, compared to your last indication of 250 million potential firepower over the plan period. So now can we expect something more like 450 to 500 million euros? Thank you.
Just a second, Renato, okay? Okay, so for the first part, Renato, the answer is the following. Obviously, in terms of the outlook for Forvalue, when we issued the press release relating to the entrance of Forvalue in the perimeter of Innolva back in June of 21, we were considering the proportion of Forvalue that was, as you all recall, both into the credit information management as well as potential synergies that could be actually extracted also from other divisions, in particular innovation and marketing services. So obviously now the portion that was related to credit information management will not be there for obvious reasons. In terms of the second question,
if I may add, definitely we were expecting, most of the revenues for Forvalue business, I would say in the range of 75%, just to give you an idea, coming from innovation marketing services. In particular, this was expected for the activities of Warrant Hub and Comarch as well as Querio. Obviously, we're expecting also revenues coming also in selling services from credit information. This will be not anymore part of this deal, even though we already started to sell something that was not in the plan from the cybersecurity, and so potentially we may add a part here. I would say that the partitioning will be strongly there. The most part of the business will be there. Obviously, we are going to lose the portion of credit information, but this was not the most important part of the deal.
Okay. So going to the second part of the question, which was related to CRIF, we are very delighted of this important sale to a primary standing company like CRIF. We were very clear to the market. This market in the last 18 months has been consolidating, but I think that there was a very strong relationship, both from a relationship side, but also from a business side between the two companies. So we are very fond of CRIF's management and the business model that they have, and we believe, obviously, that the addition of credit information to them is going to be a huge added value. This will, as we said very clearly, that Andrea stated this in his beginning statements, will bring more and more collaboration for all of the business units, in particular Digital Trust. We will envision most
Innovation Marketing Services too.
as well. So those are the two areas where we expect. So we're very fond of that, and we believe that this is probably puts us in a much better position to start business from day one. The third question that you obviously asked was about the firepower. You're right, but then also, we've always been very clear that if we had, theoretically kept the NFP over EBITDA adjusted in the range of 3 to 2.5 times, we would have had 200 to 250 million of firepower. This deal adds to that. So you're absolutely right. This is, from a financial standpoint, a big game changer, because at this point we have a very residual minimum leverage ratio that goes down to sub 0.5, around 0.4, as we said. So we can, at this point, evaluate future M&A and international expansion at a much greater pace than we did before.
Okay, thank you. If I may just a follow-up. So in terms of M&A, you can confirm what you have been saying until now. So your targets clearly Digital Trust, Innovation Marketing Services, and also from a geographical standpoint, we can think about France, Spain, Germany, UK. Thank you.
The strategic rationale stays the same. We have highlighted this in the industrial plan that we presented to the market at the end of February. At this point, the strategic rationale is now even strengthened and further, supported by financial flexibility.
Thank you. Very clear. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The next question is from Carlo Maritano with Intermonte. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I just have a couple of questions. The first one is related to CEDACRI. So they have a right to buy the 95%. Have you already had discussion with them? Any color on their decision on their stakes? And the second one is on free cash flow for credit information management. So in the last business plan, you indicated some 60 million euros of free cash flow for 2022. I was wondering how much of these 60 million comes from credit information management. Thank you.
Let's go to the first question. Obviously, up to yesterday, the information was restricted, and we are following procedure and rules. So basically, the information now is public, and we will go through the expected procedure from the legal standpoint. So no discussion about the preemption right as of today with CEDACRI. So due steps will be performed in the duly manner. So this is the first thing. As far as concern, credit information and management. So basically, we were expecting cash flow from the business in the range of 10-12 million euro. This is what was in our plan for the full year. So I think part of this will be lost, obviously, there is no doubt about this, but will be only part of this amount. So the impact on the performance and cash flow of the group will be negligible on this. And then the exact amount will be defined. If the closing is going to be in July or in August or whatever, this is going to be changed slightly. But, we're talking about 10-11 million of operating cash flow in 1 year, so nothing, honestly, really material.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question is from Andrea Bonfà with Banca Akros. Please go ahead.
Hello, good morning to everybody, and thank you for taking my call. Very quickly, I would like to know if it's possible for you to elaborate on the potential, let's say, further investment of Intesa within the NewCo, which is going to manage for value, because optically the deal so far has been very good for Intesa, having gained 47 million for an asset which nominally reported 700k of EBITDA last year. So if it's possible for you to comment on that and to know if maybe Intesa will reinvest all of the proceeds or a part of it. And if you can remind us, in this new structure, what are, let's say, the midterm target for value? Because I presume that, with all the fuss of the disposal, maybe the development process of Forvalue maybe is slower than before. If you can just maybe elaborate on that. And my final question is a more general one. For sure, you will simplify your holding structure. You got more sources to reinvest in the fastest growing part of your business. I'm wondering if you can share with us what's the state of the art in terms of multiples right now across Europe. If multiples for your potential M&A are, let's say, coming down, or is it business as usual? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Andrea. As far as the situation with Intesa, as we already stated it very clearly in our press release. So basically, Intesa has valued in a favorable way, the sale of their stake in Nova. So basically, we are going to proceed, and we announced that. As basically they are fully favorable in agreement with us in order to continue the partnership, and this could potentially involve their potential investment in the company they are going to acquire Forvalue. Talks will be undergoing. We start from a solid base that is the continuation of the partnership, and in the next weeks and months we will work in order to reshape the model. I don't think the model will be significant, will be disrupted by this. We have a very clear way on how we have to cooperate between us, Intesa, and Forvalue. We have only to reshape a bit because credit information services will be not there. So an adjustment to our plan will be made. We are not expecting significant differences, but this is what is going to happen. So next weeks and months, will be dedicated to Vandai, but we both start from the strong belief that the partnership will continue, and this is what we agreed with Intesa.
I think there was a third question, Andrea, on the multiples, right? So the market out there, honestly, the truth of the matter here is the cash in and the proceeds and the potential that we have, right? So we've always been very proactive in looking at potential targets. Obviously, the potential targets in the last couple of months from a valuation perspective, the readjustment, the rationalization, you name it, of their multiples. But overall, I think we're in a much better position today, both because we have already started our internationalization with the purchase of CertEurope, as you recall, at the end of 21, and also because we are now much more focused, and we have now 3 business units, obviously, to concentrate on. So, the multiples are there. There has been some rebalancing, but I think it really depends on a country-by-country / company-by-company basis and industry basis on that.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The next question is from Isacco Brambilla with Mediobanca. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everybody. A couple of questions from my side. The first one is on conditions precedent to the transaction. I see there is no mention of potential antitrust issues. Can you confirm this is not an aspect of concern pending the closing of the transaction? Second question is on the redeployment of resources cashed in between this deal and the one with Bregal. You now have some 300 million euros fresh resources under strategic standpoint, which is the plan A for this redeployment? I mean, multiple mid-sized deals, or are you maybe targeting also a kind of a transformational deal?
Can you repeat the second question? You were talking about thresholds and multiple.
Second question is on how to redeploy the resources cashed in between this deal and the one with Bregal. If the plan A is having multiple mid-sized deal, or we may also expect a transformational deal in one of your current business units.
On the first question, as far as concerned antitrust, deeply lawyers from our side and from CRIF side went through the deal, and they made their checks, and so they agreed not to include as a CP, the antitrust. That means that upon the evaluation, there is no need to follow this procedure.
The second question, Isacco, obviously, I think it goes back to what we said before. I think the important part here is that the market was to a certain extent, asking us for a very long time if credit information management had, say to stay in the current structure of Tinexta. At this point, we delivered on this account by finding a great deal with a great company, which is CRIF, and this brings proceeds, which at this point gives us, a very strong firepower versus what we had before. And also this gives us the opportunity to look at deals of all dimensions at this point. So we can't really say what the real target is, if it's a small, medium, or large target. But I think at this point, the key takeaway is that we will be concentrating on the divisions that will grow the most in order to give more back to the shareholders. That's probably the key takeaway. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a reminder, if you wish to register for a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone. One moment, please. The next question is from Gabriele Berti with Intesa Sanpaolo. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and congratulations for the deal. I have just a couple of technical clarifications from my side. The first one is looking at slide 12 of the presentation, the net financial position bridge. I do not understand why you project a cash-in related to Innolva disposal at 171 million, which is more or less aligned with the 100% of the equity value of Innolva assumed for the transaction. So I missed something, if you can clarify on this. And lastly, if you can provide more or less the pro forma value of the D&A following the deconsolidation of the credit information business unit. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I didn't get exactly. You're talking about 12?
Yes, the cash-in related to the Innolva disposal is projected in the slide at 171.5 million, which is the same value, more or less, of the 100% equity value of Innolva.
You're right. But, this obviously, as one of the conditions of the deal is basically the sale from the current, Innolva now holds for value, and Innolva has, the net financial position that is a range of 40 million, let's say. Then, if Innolva sells, and we assume here for an easy approach the book value. So Innolva will get other 55 million of cash. So basically, this is going to increase the net cash, the net financial position of Innolva, and so the 75% of Innolva for us will be 171. Yeah.
Once again, if you wish to ask a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone.
Sorry, and we assume also in these figures to go to the net financial position of the group that Intesa is going to reinvest. If Intesa is not going to reinvest, there will be a different picture. Okay.
Gentlemen, there are no more questions registered at this time.
All right. Thank you very much for connecting, and if you need any further assistance, we're always available. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.